Good morning, students. So today we shall continue with the function programs. So in today's program we shall see the concept of the calling and receiving function, more on that. And then this program is about using the switch case and then the do while loop. So since some of you have been asking the difference between the while loop and the do while, so we have already seen some while loop programs. Now this is a do while loop program. So from here, watch this nicely. From here you will understand the concept of the using the do while loop, right? So this particular program is to check the different reports. So student will ask for some reports. Suppose like if the students wants to check the admission report, then they should receive the admission report. If the student wants to check the attendance report, then it should show that this message, okay, this is the attendance report. And if it wants to check the computer report, then this message should be returned back, right? So if you see this program, so that the starts with the header file, okay, and then you see that you have three function bodies, this one, this one, this one. So the program is split up into this first this program, smaller program, this another program, and this another program function body, okay, and this is the main function. So you can see that this these three programs or these three modules are outside of the main function. So here you can see that this is your function definition, as you can see that, or you can call it as call function. So this is call function number 1, this is call function number 2, and this is call function number 3. So here in the call, so when you come back to the main function, as you know that the program always starts execution from the main function. So now this program is, as I said, to check different reports, right? So if you refer to the call function section, as you know that the call function or the function definition is always written outside of the main function, right? So in the main function, the calling function will be written so that it will call this call function, so it will invoke. Now in the call function, you can see that the return type is void. So this function admission report, it does not return any value back to the main function, nor does it accept any parameters or pass any arguments or accept any arguments right here. That's why this word void is written, okay? So even if you don't write this void also, it is all right. So inside this function body, only a cout statement is written, that is, this is admission report. After that, return back to the main, right? So similarly for attendance report also, it is same, only a cout statement. And then in the computer report also, this is the computer report, and then return back to the main function. Now in the main function body, you can see that the one variable is declared as int option, right? So now this option is means like it's a choice where you have to select. So you can see that this is the do while loop structure. So within this, from here to here, is the do while loop body. All right. So this you can see that here, this is the body of the do loop, okay, and then you can see that the while loop, the while test condition is executed last, and then terminated by the semicolon. Normally in while loop, this while test condition is written first, after that the body of the while loop, right? But here the body of the do while loop is written first, after that the test condition is done, and then ended by the semicolon. So the concept of do while loop is, even if the while test condition, that is this relational expression, turns out to be false, the body of the do loop will be executed at least once. So if there is any cout statement to be run, okay, or any formula to be executed, it will be done at least once, right? So now inside the do loop, here the cout statement will be run automatically. So here choose your choice from the following list. So this will be printed on the monitor screen. Then /n, so the next line, and then cout /t, one tab space, one admission report. So you have to choose the choice from the following list, that is one admission report, cout 2 attendance report, and cout 3 computer report, right? So from there again, cout, enter your option. So from there the options will be entered. As you can see that the option variable is an integer variable, right? The data type is integer, so that means it will store integer values. This option variable will store integer values, not character. So that does not mean that it will store this string value admission report. No, actually it means that this one, choose your choice from the following list, means you select either 1 or 2 or 3, right? So if you select 1, that means you have selected admission report. So that 1, 2 and 3 will be stored in this option variable. So that's why it's written here, enter your option. So your option is you select either 1, 2 or 3, and it will be stored in here. So from the keyboard, when you enter 1, that will be stored in this option variable. Now as you can see that inside the do loop, it is also possible that you can have different if test expression, or in this case you have a switch case. So here, since you have 3 options to compare, right? So the best decision or branching statement to use is the switch case, which will be compared with these different cases. So here switch, and you can see within the switch test expression, the variable is entered, right? So here switch option, that means what value is entered here. Suppose like 1, so that 1 will be compared with these different cases. As you can see that in a switch case, or in a switch statement, the keyword switch, case, break, these are compulsory, right? Default is optional, but yes, it is also used. So here switch case, so this case 1. So now you can see that it here case 1 is there, case 2 is there, case 3 is there, right? Because we have 3 options, that is 1, 2 and 3. So here the input value that you entered will be already will be compared with this already pre-entered value in the program. So switch case is used mostly when the program knows what type of value the user is going to enter. So in this case, either the user will enter 1 or 2 or 3. So if the user enters 1 in case, right, now there is a colon after that. So after this colon, it signifies that this is a label, right? So whatever is written after this will be executed. So here in this case, you have the calling function. So this calling function, so what will happen is that the control will come out of this do loop, okay, and then it will search for this calling function name. Then it finds here, right? So this call function is called, and then it will execute this cout statement. This is admission report, and then return back to the calling function. All right. So after that, what happens is that since this calling function got invoked, okay, the next statement will be break. So it will not go through the case 2, it will not go through this case 3, since case 1 was found to be correct. Since you entered option equals to 1 and case 1 was found to be the correct case, so it will encounter this break statement. So this is a jumping statement which will come out of this switch case, right? Then after that, so this is the body of the do loop, right? So now the body of the do loop, this switch case is inside the body of the do loop, right? So after that, the while test condition will be done. While option, that is 1, right? 1 is greater than equal to 1, which is true, right? And 1 is less than equals to 3, which is also true, right? So as long as this condition is true, okay, this loop will keep on continuing, right? Now if suppose you entered 1 2 3, which will execute 1 admission report, 2 attendance report, 3 computer report. But if you enter any other number other than 1 2 3, let's say 4, then the default case will be executed, that is cout invalid choice entered, right? So let's run this program in C, right? So here choose your choice from the following list, okay? So 1 admission report, 2 attendance report, and 3 computer report. So enter your option. So here let's say I press 1, so it shows this is the admission report, right? So the admission report function definition gets invoked, and then it displays these cout messages. Then again choose your choice from the following list. Let's say I press 2, so again it displays this. Now after that, if let's say that I enter, there's only 3 options, right? So let's say that I enter 5. Now case 5 is not there, that so invalid choice, right? So now the do while loop is terminated. So we have reached the end of the program, right? So that is how you run this program, okay? So I hope that with this particular program you have understood the concept of the do while loop. So even if suppose the test condition turns out to be false, that is suppose like 4, if I enter 4 is greater than equals to 1, yes, but 4 is less than equals to 3, no, right? In using the logical and operator, both the relational expression has to be true, right? So if the while test expression is false, yet because of the do while concept, this body of the do loop will be executed at least once, so it will display the output at least once. So suppose like this. Now you have to enter 1 2 3. I enter 5, so invalid choice entered, right? So invalid choice entered, that message is displayed, which is inside the body of the do loop, right? So execution is done at least once. Now in the case of while loop, if the while test condition is false, the body of the while loop will never be executed, right? It will move on to the next statement after the while loop. So you can see the difference between how you when you use the do while loop and then the while loop, right? Now in the next program you have a program to demonstrate using the default arguments, right? So here you can see that this is the function prototype which has the default arguments. So this is the return type of the function name, and within the parentheses you can see that here the variable, 3 variables are declared which are of integer type, float, and integer. And here int a is not assigned any value, b is assigned a float value 20.5, and c is assigned an integer value. Now whenever you are using a default argument, always remember that the variable, if there is any variable which has not been assigned any value, then that variable has to be written first. It should not be that float b should be written here and then a will be written here. No, always the variable which is not assigned any value, which is not initialized, should be written first, right? So it does not depend on the data type, also on the priority of the data type, but the variable which is not assigned any value should be written here. Now in the main function, so here you can see that the use of this default argument is, right, if in the main function, okay, the calling function is not passing any arguments to the call function, in that case the call function can receive the values from the default arguments, right? So here in the program, x is assigned the value 10, y is assigned the value 10.5, and z is assigned the value 50. So here these 3 variables are actually your local variables, right? So these are your local variables, or you can call them as also actual parameters when they are passed using the calling function. So here these are your local variables. Now when this cout statement is run, total using default argument. Okay, so this is the calling function sum num, sum underscore num. Here you can see that within the parentheses only the parameter x is passed to the call function. So this is the call function. Here this double sum num, and this is the function definition, right? So the value of x, that is 10, is passed to the variable a. So you can see that x is of integer type, so this will be passed to the variable a, right? So you have to remember that, okay, the arrangement of the data type matters, right? So if it is integer, if the function prototype is of the first data type is of integer, float, and integer, then in the call function also the data type should match, that is integer, float, integer, float, integer, right? If there is a data type mismatch, then it will result in error. Suppose like here if you run this program, you directly get the output. But if suppose I change this from integer to float, then run this program, so you can see that an error is found, because here as per the function prototype, the return type is, the parameter type is integer, float, integer, but in here you have two float and then one integer, right? So there is a mismatch between the data type, so that's why it has to, the data type also has to match, the parameter type also has to match. Now here the value of x will be passed to this variable a, but as you can see that the value of y and z is not passed, right, because it is not mentioned here. So now these two in the call function, these two variables which are declared in the call functions will receive the values from the default arguments, that is this value from the function prototype, right? So in the function prototype you can see that the variables are assigned the value, and that value 20.5 and 30 will be passed and stored in this variable and assigned to this variable b and c. So here float, okay, and here b will be assigned to this to this variable b, right? So now when you run this program, all right, the data type, the return type is of type double. So here another variable sum is declared of type double, which is assigned the value 0.0. Now if you don't use this also, it is okay, right? It won't produce any error, because this is just to make you understand that, okay, this will store a decimal point values, right? So here sum equals to a plus b plus c, so that value will be added. So here that will be 10 plus 20.5 plus 30, so you get 60.5, right? So return sum, that value will be returned back here, and then total using default arguments, it will show 60.5. In the case of this total using actual arguments, here you are passing the actual value, so that is the call as actual arguments, that is 10, 10 and 50, right? So here that value will be passed to these variables a, b and c. So when the actual arguments are passed to the call function, in that case the default arguments value will not be used, will not be called, okay? So there you will get the value 70.5. So when you run this, you see that the total using the default arguments is 60.5 and total using the actual argument is 70.5, right? So now these are your local variables. You may also remember the scope rules, right? Scope of variables. In there you have the global variables and local variables, right? So in your textbook you have seen that when the global variables and the local variables have the same variable name, then how do you differentiate? Now obviously in the main function, so like the global variables are usually declared outside of the main function. Suppose like in x equals to 50. So now this is a global variable. So now this is a global variable because it is declared outside of all the functions. So now this variable is assigned the value 50, and here x is assigned the value 10. So now when we run this program, the main function will when this value is passed to this by the calling function, okay, the value 10 will be passed by this calling function to this variable a instead of this 50, right? So right now it won't make any difference at all. You will get the same output, that is 60.5 and 70.5. So if you want to make use of this global variable value, instead of using this x equal to 10, so what you have to do is that they both have the same variable name. Right now in this particular program, the global variable value is hidden, so the local variable hides the global variable value. But if you want to make use of this, of assign this value 50 in the formula, then what you have to do is you have to use the scope resolution operator. That is, by doing like this, okay, before the variable, so what you do is that here you call this global variable and then assign the value 50, and then pass this value 50 instead of this 10. Clear? So if you run this program, you will see that now the value has changed to 100, so which is 50 and then 20.5 and 30, right? So there you get the value 100, right? So this is how you make use of the global variable by using the scope resolution operators. Okay, so type this program and see, and make some changes in the program and see what different outputs you're getting, right?